Greetings, pet lovers. Bridget here with First Street Pets. And today we're going to talk about starting an in home dog boarding business. This video is part one in a multi part series, so be sure to check the description for links to the other articles and videos. There is so much to talk about in this type of business that I decided to divide it into chunks so you can find the information that's most valuable to you. This video is number one. Is this the right business for you? In-home dog boarding and daycare is a very popular and profitable business for the 2020s. But how do you know if it's right for you? Here are some important things to consider before starting your new venture. Number one is motivation. Does this type of business interest you? Do you love working with dogs? Are you passionate about this? Do you want the type of business that you can run from your home? Entrepreneurs are passionate about what they do because there's a lot of energy and hard work to be put into the business, especially in the early years. If this isn't right for you, then you're probably better off just getting a job in someone else's company. Let's look at some of the most common motivations for dog business owners. You love dogs. This may seem obvious, but it's very important. You will be with them day and night. You will be dealing with problems and issues. You will be talking with clients about their dogs. Clients will know that you love your work and you love caring for their dogs, and that will make them loyal to you. If you're not passionate about this, it's probably not going to work. Working from home. The lockdown of 2020 forced many people to work out of their homes. Since then, many people have continued to do so because they realize it's just a better way. You're not wasting time and money commuting, or you want to stay home with children, with your own pets, and just other things that you have to do rather than spending all that time outside of your home working in an office. As a dog boarder and daycare owner, you will be spending a lot of time at home unless you're hiring someone to cover for you. You're not going to want to leave those dogs unattended. So if you easily get stir crazy or don't like being home all day, this might not be the right business for you. Another important motivation is to make money. Now, of course, you have to be good at what you do and be passionate about it and want to provide good service above money. But let's face it, people start businesses so that they can make a living. You want to be able to support yourself and your family by doing what you love. Unless you're a CEO in most jobs today, and with the cost of living in many parts of the country, like California, where I am, it can be difficult to make a good living working for someone else. With your own business, you can grow and scale the business to make enough money and live the lifestyle that you want. Now, it takes dedication to make that kind of good money. I've seen a lot of people in my 30 plus years in animal care come and go. They think it's easy money and it isn't. You have to focus and run your business and deal with issues that come up. And over time, as the business grows, you can be successful. But it takes that kind of energy and commitment to make that happen. It's not easy money. Number two is ability. So you may love dogs and maybe you've had a dog and you want to do this type of business, but if you don't have any other relevant experience, you might want to think twice about that. So here are some important abilities that you should have or should educate yourself about before getting into this. Dog handling. This, I can't emphasize this enough. Just read the news and you will see terrible stories of dogs getting injured or killed in care because people didn't know what they were doing. They mixed large dogs and small dogs, dogs that aren't friendly with other dogs, too many dogs in a small space. You really need to know about dog handling and managing playgroups before you're going to take multiple dogs into your home. It may seem simple, but you also need to know how to put leashes and collars on and off. Different dogs require different kinds of walking equipment, moving dogs from one area to the other, getting them in the car. This may sound simple, but it really isn't. And if you don't have any experience with this sort of thing, it might not be a bad idea to work for 6 months a year for someone else, whether they're running a pet sitting business or even a traditional dog daycare. I worked at one for a while, and boy, did I get a lot of experience. There were hundreds of dogs there. So you're learning how to handle many, many dogs at the same time, manage play groups, feeding, scheduling. So it can give you some good experience that will help you open your own business later. Dog breeds and behavior. While behaviors can vary and many dogs are mixed breeds, there are things that you should know about different kinds of dogs, what their activity levels are, how they get along with other dogs. As I already mentioned, the types of dogs that you can mix together. There might be senior dogs who want to sleep all day and young 2-year-old Labradors and German Shorthair Pointers that are very hyper. So understanding that can really give you a leg up on what dogs you should and shouldn't accept and how to manage them when you're providing care for them. Breeds have considerations for their health and their personality. For example, Frenchies are extremely popular right now, but unfortunately, I've seen some stories in the news of Frenchies drowning in pools and at pet sitters' houses, left unattended with unfenced pools. If you knew better, bulldogs can't swim, so they should never be unattended around pools. This is very important. It's the kind of thing you wouldn't know if you weren't a pet sitter or had never had a bulldog. But again, you can educate yourself. So there's a lot of great information out there. I'll put some links in the description for websites and other videos just to learn the basic about dog breeds and behavior. Feeding and medications. So every dog has different needs. They may be on all different kinds of diets. And while it may be convenient to have your own food to feed the dogs, it is probably better if the owners bring their own food in measured amounts because dogs can get an upset stomach eating something different and then they'll have loose stool all over your house. So, this is something you need to be aware of. What are the normal amounts of food that dogs eat? How do certain dogs eat? Some just kind of pick throughout the day, while others will eat the whole bag if you leave it out. So, understanding that will really help you provide better care and know what is normal and what isn't. Regarding medications, there are many medications that can be given at home and that pet sitters or dog boarders will need to do, like something as important as insulin shots or thyroid meds or maybe some antibiotics if the dog has an infection or something like that. But you really should educate yourself on the normal dosages and how these medications are best given before attempting something like that. If you're ever not sure about medication, how to give it, or a dosage, go ahead and don't hesitate to call the client's veterinarian or call your own veterinarian for advice before making a mistake. Number three is lifestyle. Will this business fit into your lifestyle? Many things can sound great on paper and in theory, but when it actually comes down to the day to day nitty gritty and having dogs at your house and working holidays and weekends, it might not work out for you. So, good to look at this realistically how this type of business works and will it fit in with your lifestyle. One of the first things to consider are your family, other housemates. If you have a spouse or other family or friends or roommates living with you, they have a say in what goes on in the home. How do they feel about you running this business? And at what level? Are they okay with, one or two dogs, or are they okay with a full-on business with 10 dogs at a time? So, very important if you want to get along with your spouse and everyone else to make sure everyone's in agreement before actually starting a business. It's also important to have separate spaces for the dogs and your family and everybody else. If everyone has to share the same space, it's going to be stressful for all. Your living situation. So, if you own your own home, that's fine, but there are also regulations in every city, so that's something to be considered. If you are renting, are the folks that you are renting from okay with you doing this or not? If you go ahead and start doing something without getting permission, you could find yourself in legal trouble or in trouble with your landlord. Even if you own your own home, dogs bark, they poop, they can cause nuisances for neighbors, especially if you're in a metro area and your neighbors are close to you. So these are all things you want to consider. You want to mitigate nuisances for your neighbors, noises, odors, traffic, and other disturbances that will cause them to complain and make trouble for you. Consider the space you have to work with. If you have a big country property, that's great. You can have areas for the dogs to run. You can separate different kinds of dogs. If you're in a house, maybe on a smaller scale, but if you're in a condo or a really small space like that, unless you're doing a couple of chihuahuas, it might not be feasible for you. You'd really have to think about that. Personal time. This is something that a lot of entrepreneurs leave last on the list to think about, but it's very important. So, of course, you're going to have to put a lot of energy into your business, especially in the early months and years. But in time, you want to carve out some space for yourself. You need days off, lunch breaks, vacations. Do you like to go hiking or fishing or something that takes you away from your business? In order to stay healthy and well, you're going to need to plan for that and not overbook and overwork yourself, which is really easy to do in this type of business. That said, availability is key to building up a good client base. So just think of the timing. If it's right before Christmas and you have lots of plans, or you have a European vacation coming up, or you're planning your wedding in the next year or 6 months, this might not be the best time to start a business. Go ahead and fulfill your plans, get married, go to Europe, do all those things. And when you come back and you can devote all your time for the next year to this business, that might be a better time to start. I hope this has been helpful. Please check out part 2 in the series. I will link in the description. Thank you for watching.